906 Outdoors is brought to you by Cooking Wild Seasonings. Make it fresh, make it yours. 9 million acres of forest, 1,700 miles of continuous shoreline, 4,300 lakes, 12,000 miles of streams, more than 300 waterfalls, 15 counties, 2 time zones, and 1 area code. Welcome to the Upper Peninsula. Welcome to 906 Outdoors.
Grouse, come here.
He doesn't have.
Mention grouse in Michigan, and it's immediately assumed that you're talking about ruffed grouse. But there's another grouse in Michigan, and it's found only in the UP, specifically the eastern portion of the peninsula. Much less numerous than ruffed grouse, the sharp-tailed grouse inhabits grasslands, and one of the most popular places to find them is in farm fields.
Yeah, come here.
Commonly called sharp-tails, sharpies, or sharps, they get their name from the shape of their primary tail feathers. Sharptails are more common in the western U.S. and Canada, and Michigan is the easternmost state where you can hunt them. I've been trying to connect up on a sharptail hunt for some time, so when Eric and Rich said they were heading east for a couple days of hunting, I was more than anxious to make the trip.
Sharp-tailed grouse are found across the eastern Upper Peninsula and in different places. Eastern Chippewa and Mackinac counties probably has the largest contiguous block of open land habitat for them. Thousands of acres of hay and pasture fields primarily that offer a habitat for sharp-tailed grouse as well as other grassland species. So it's kind of a core habitat for these birds. But they are also found in plains areas or marsh areas, other openings that are a little bit larger in nature across the eastern UP. The hunt area is basically restricted to the eastern Chippewa and Mackinac County agricultural lands, in part because that's the most contiguous block and the habitat remains the same year after year. It doesn't change very much and is accessible. Here we seem to have the largest area of sharp-tail presence, if you will. Sharp-tailed grouse hunting was reestablished in 2010 after some survey and research information and with input from an advisory committee to the DNR. And that was established in about half of the agricultural lands in the far eastern Chippewa and Mackinac counties. It's a unique opportunity. This is the only place in Michigan that sharptails can be hunted. The limit is 2 birds per day, a limit of 6 for the season for hunters. Sharptail hunting is perhaps a little bit different than other hunting in the area. You will likely do a lot of walking across fields and hopefully see some birds.
Coming your way.
Hopefully have an opportunity at harvesting 1 or more. But hunters can expect a lot of walking and there's no guarantee of seeing or being able to harvest a bird. They can be few and far between in some places. So just something that hunters can expect.
Today's show is brought to you in part by Rapid River Knife Works, home of Michigan's largest custom knife factory showroom.
The Hunting Access Program, or HAP, was initiated or brought to the UP in 2014 to provide some public access hunting opportunities for folks particularly traveling from outside of the area. There's actually quite a bit of public land in the area, but most of it is forested and doesn't offer the ideal or preferred habitat of sharptails, the grassland or open land type habitat that sharptails prefer. That program has expanded to about 5,200 acres available this year, and we're holding steady at that.
Got him! Get him out!
Art here. The HAP program has been implemented in the area in partnership with the Chippewa-Loose-Mackinac Conservation District. They have helped with administering that program and dealing with landowners.
First UP sharptail, about 6 birds went up just as we got out of the truck.
Under that program, landowners have an incentive to allow public access onto their properties. Some lands are open to sharp-tailed grouse only, while other lands are open to small game, including waterfowl. Small game, including waterfowl lands are open from September 15th to November 10th, while sharp-tail lands are only open during the sharp-tailed grouse hunting season, which is October 10th through the 31st.
If you get a big male, he'll have a yellow comb above the eye. This one doesn't have one, but it's a nice mature bird, so I suspect that this is a hen. Ectonations for walking on the snow, feathered feet.
When a hunter gets to hap lands, they will notice a sign advertising the lands or marking the lands, and there's a mailbox at those locations that provide a self-service sign-in. So a hunter would come and sign into the property, go ahead and hunt the property, and then sign out when they leave. When they sign in, maps are available that give a layout of the parcel at that particular site. As hunters enter into a hap property, they will notice small yellow signs marking the boundaries of that hap property. So hunters need to stay within the boundaries of that hap parcel. And again, those would be marked with periodic yellow markers indicating those boundaries. The My Hunt website provides a good interactive map where hap properties can be found. As you start, you will see stars in the eastern UP area, and as you zoom in further, individual properties will become more apparent. The boundaries of those properties are marked in that system. So that's a good opportunity for hunters to look at maps, find out where the hap properties are located. We have about 30 parcels and about 5,200 acres currently available under that hap program to be able to hunt sharptails. The HAP program has been going on since 2014 and seems to be doing fairly well. Again, landowners get a small incentive to allow public hunting specifically for these purposes on their lands. And hunters have a known place that they can come to, especially when traveling outside of the area. Many of the HAP properties are active agricultural lands, hay or pasture lands. Some of these lands are active with cattle during the hunting season, so hunters need to be aware that there could be cattle in some fields. There may be electric fence that they run into on these parcels, so just be aware of these as you're out and about. If you're not interested in having to deal with some of these challenges, you may select a different HAP site for the area for the day. HAP sites that have livestock within them are still open. We just ask that you please be respectful of the farming activities that go on and please keep away from those animals as much as possible.
On day 2 of our hunt, we awoke to find some lake effect on our doorstep.
Well, we're heading out for day 2. Hopefully we're going to hit a few more hap spots just north of where we were yesterday. Hoping to get there before daylight so we can see the birds coming off roost and hopefully have a little better idea where they're at before we get there this morning.
The sharp-tailed grouse hunt is a bit of a unique or specialty hunt. We do have a number of hunters that take part in this hunt, but it's not quite as popular as, for example, deer hunting or small game hunting across the state. Yet it provides a unique and special opportunity for hunters both within Michigan and from outside of Michigan to come and hunt a Michigan sharptail. We do have hunters that come from all across the state as well as outside of the state to come and try hunting a sharptail.
At least you got to see them fly. We just saw some birds take off out of the tree line and head across the field, so we're going to walk to where we saw them go in. Sharptail tend to be a little bit more sketchy than the rest of the grouse, so it could be a shot in the dark, but I think right now it'll be our best bet to get on some birds early.
Sharp-tailed grouse hunters need a sharp-tailed grouse hunting stamp in addition to the base license. The stamp is free and can be obtained from any licensed vendor. The Sharptail Grouse stamp allows the DNR to be able to survey hunters that participated in the sharptail hunt and gather information, harvest information and effort and other information that can be used to monitor the hunt and the sharptail population. Sharptail grouse hunters also have other opportunities in the area. There's opportunities to hunt ruffed grouse and woodcock in the area on public lands, and some of the HAP properties are open to small game, so those can be hunted on those properties as well. There's also opportunities to hunt waterfowl in the area.
Aspen went on point over in some thick brush right along the edge of the field, just about as we were back to the truck. She broke point, went in, and a whole covey of birds flushed, and one came out my way, and I was lucky enough to hit it with my loaner gun.
With two guys hunting, the chances of me following the right one are 50%. It's funny how I can pick the wrong one nearly 100% of the time. That translates to a couple of ruffed grouse on the tailgate and not on the camera.
Yeah, we got to the back of this last field. Dogs got birdie. This bird went up and went down, and then Eric's bird came back with the dogs as well. So we've got 3 sharptail, 2 ruffed grouse, and probably 20 missed snipe. One of Eric's friends puts it, they're like shooting at bats. So
This is my first time sharptail hunting ever, and I guess I came out here really hoping that we would have some luck, and I had a blast. I was blown away with how many birds we saw, and just how good we did, how good the dogs did overall. It was a lot of fun, and definitely would come back out here for another trip.
In spite of the November weather in October, it was still a great trip with some unique hunting in a great part of the UP. 906 Outdoors is brought to you in part by L&M Fleet Supply, proudly serving the Northland for over 30 years. For some, it's a sad time of year. The progression of fall tells us that summer is over and reminds us of the upcoming season of snow. But for some, it's the greatest time of year.
When I got just enough time to come down here after work, I run as fast as I possibly can down this hill just to be able to get that last hour and a half, 2 hours worth of daylight in every hole I can hit.
This is the time of year when brown trout make their annual run from the cold waters of Lake Superior up streams and rivers in search of a place to deposit their next generation.
This is definitely where we start our adventure.
I spent the morning on a quiet Lake Superior tributary with brown trout fanatic Matt Ellsworth, who indeed appreciates this time of year and the magic of the fall run of brown trout.
Today we're fishing for, hopefully for some fall run browns. And we're going to be using some hard tackle for them. We're going to be retrieving this Rapala right here. Fire Tiger jointed, suspended. I like the suspended action because if you get done cranking, it can still stay below the surface. It doesn't sink or float, so it stays right in one position. I caught a brown on this lure on Lake Superior, and I thought, if it works for the browns out there, it should work for the browns up here. Easy as that. It's nothing the old school dudes would use, but I don't spend too much time in the little holes. I just want to be able to take advantage of every cast I can, so I try to use every hole I can. But once we get to the deeper, slower holes is where I like to start putting a little more time into it. These fish are swimming upstream from Lake Superior, and they want to do what they have to do in order to survive as a species, which is spawn. So the male and female brown trout are coming up here, and they're going to try and pair up, at least pair up, and then they're going to try and get some spawning done, and then that's about it. Now, one of the main ingredients of being able to catch fall run fish is placing your cast in the best position that it can possibly go. You want that first cast in every hole to be the most important cast, because usually when you're fishing hard baits or crankbaits, that's the one that's going to get the fish. It's your first cast, so you want to treat it like it's the most important cast there is. This is easily a 35-mile run from Lake Superior. They actually, what I was just reading the other night about brown trout is that they can actually move up to 4 miles in an evening. After dark, they can move 4 miles in one night to be able to get where they're going. So the fall run fish, they start showing up as early as August, and then they start moving a little bit harder during October, and then they just try to find the best place for them to be able to spawn, lay their eggs, so that they can fertilize and not get gobbled up by predators like little brookies and minnows. And that's why I like using a Rapala, is because these fish think that this Rapala is a little minnow that's going to come and eat their eggs. And I think that's why they want that out of their hole or off their bed, is because they don't want this interfering with their spawning activity. And hopefully we can make one of them think that we're going to be interfering with their spawning activity today. And they're going to try and get caught by me. Right here is a good part of the hole. My favorite cast, it's just a slight angle cast upstream like this. And then I like that lure to be able to go down with the current slightly towards me, because I think that's a little bit more natural for a small bait fish to be able to do versus going up the current. I do not catch that many fish when I'm on the upside of the current of my lure. When the sun starts to come out and it starts hanging a little bit high, it starts putting shadows in everywhere. So you can make a mistake by casting your shadow down in the hole. And then what it does is, since so much of that light is penetrating the hole, it makes those fish want to take cover. So then they take cover as far as they can up in the brush and the undercuts, just to be able to stay out of it, so they can stay away from predators like eagles and otters and everything else that can pick them up easily in the sunlight. So the browns typically do like a little bit darker part of the day. Thick overcast is usually great for brown trout fishing. They usually have no problem hanging out and being reactive all day on a thick overcast, just because that sun isn't out. Fishing around these logs it's basically exactly what we were talking about earlier with that lateral line. These logs are like little arms and fingers for them fish to be able to feel the vibrations of someone walking on them or something like that. So you don't want to walk on the logs and broadcast your noise to the fish. You want to actually stay clear of them, and don't use the logs to walk on or anything like that until you're done casting the hole out, because otherwise you'll just be sending those vibrations to the water and spooking the fish. Every hole is different where them fish are going to be sitting in that hole. Sometimes they're at the top side of the hole, sometimes they're at the bottom side of the hole, sometimes they're not in the hole at all. Sometimes they're sitting right in 12 inches of water underneath some undercut brush. Every hole is so different. You got to figure out what cast is going to work for what hole. You basically want to start at the top side of the hole in the run area, and then you want it to be able to drop down into the hole and work the entire hole. And then every single cast you make is a different cast, so you can cover different sections of that hole. You want to be able to pattern out like a line grid, so that when you start, your first cast might end up over there and you go through there. Then your second cast even closer yet, and then your third cast and fourth cast. So you cover every foot of the hole. It's not the fishing, it's not the catching at all. It's actually just being here and doing it. That's what I love the most about this river. Catching fish, to me, basically is just like it's like a byproduct of enjoying fishing. And that's all it really is.
.906 Outdoors is brought to you in part by Blades Bait and Tackle, your year-round connection to fishing bait Enoch.
Oh, little guy just. See this little guy? It's a nice typical German style brown, just a little guy. He was probably in here in the river the whole summer, the whole year. He probably wasn't lake run at all. He just wanted to join in the activities and see if he can't get his groove on with the ladies. To anybody else's standards, beautiful brown trout. people travel hundreds of miles to be able to catch one specimen like this. Nice little brown. He is a nice little fish. That'd be a good one for eggs and hash browns in the morning. Everybody loves a little brown trout, and he is anxious to get back in the river, so I don't want to make him wait too long. Let's see what we got right here. Just go like this for you, okay? Go back to your home, you little guy. Get a lot bigger so we can catch you later on in life. What drives me to come out here and fish for these fish every fall, all fall long, is because when I was a little kid, my dad would take me down to this river. And there was one point in time where I actually got to see him catch and land a huge fish. And I don't know what it was all about, but it was my birthday that day, and I didn't get to catch a fish near the size of the one he got. And I remember being a little kid and getting back to the house, and I was so frustrated at not being able to catch a fish like that I actually cried over the situation. And that embedded something right into my soul that made me want to come back here until I caught a fish like that. And the more I fished, the more successful I became with catching, and the more successful I became with spotting the fish and learning what types of lures work best for me. And another reason that keeps me coming back here is I am a local. It is right in my backyard. This is basically in my genetics. I've been fishing this river my whole life. I have a camp right off this river, and it's what I absolutely live for the entire year. The rest of the time, I'm just practicing to become a better brown trout fisherman by catching other fish. But this is what I live for all year long.
Feel free to join us on Facebook or visit us at 906outdoors.com. Thanks for watching, and we invite you to join us next week for another adventure right here on 906 Outdoors.